Well, hello there, and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this silent hopper clock. So this is sort of a variation on the Etho hopper clock that doesn't use any pistons or anything that makes noise, which, as you know from my other videos, I really don't like things that make noise, so I try to make things as silent as possible, and this is completely silent. So as you can see, it's a clock, because you saw it's jumping back and forth in the signal, but first, I'm going to go over what an Etho hopper clock is for those who don't know, so that you can see how this is different. So an Etho hopper clock is two hoppers pointed into each other like that, and then you have comparators coming out of each of those, usually off to the side like this. You have blocks for that signal to go into, and redstone to conduct that signal more. And then you put some sticky pistons, not there, on the sides, like that. And then the last step is to put a block of redstone here, and once you put some items in here, let's say these 10 redstone, it creates a clock. So every time one of these, okay, that's loud. So every time one of these empties out, right, the one that's not locked by the redstone block, that comparator will turn off, that signal will turn off, and that piston will retract. And since it's a sticky piston, it'll actually pull the redstone block to the other side. And when it does that, it locks the other hopper and opens up the hopper that was locked before and allows the items to flow backwards through the system. And then it just repeats. So that's fine, but you already heard how loud it was. I removed the block just to stop it so that it wouldn't be so loud. So let me show you how you can make a similar design that works on the same principle, but without a piston. So the design here, we have the same two hoppers pointed into each other with items inside, and this makes it just as configurable as an Etho hopper clock. So depending on the number of items you put in here, that changes how long it takes for the clock to switch. So that's pretty standard. You have the same comparators coming out of these hoppers, but everything else is different. So what it does is you have this comparator leading into a block with a redstone torch on it, and that redstone torch has a signal that goes immediately into the side of that comparator and also comes over here to lock this hopper. So in addition to locking this hopper, by going into the side of this comparator, it's ensuring that this comparator will never turn on as long as this side of the clock is on, and that keeps this side of the clock from turning off. In addition, the signal that locks this hopper, so this side of the clock, is just a repeater coming out of that block, so it takes the signal from this comparator. And so by doing that, as long as this side of the clock is on, it ensures this side of the clock will be off, and that makes sure it alternates, and you never get any kind of race conditions with both of them on or both of them off. And then, so that means if there's an item in here, this will turn off because this turns on, but only if this side was on first. I realize I just said that very confusingly, so let me show you the other half, and maybe it'll make a little more sense. So the comparator coming out of this hopper leads into a block, which goes into a redstone dust underneath, which is then amplified by this repeater. And then that signal goes all the way across, if I can try to find my way in here, goes all the way across to this block. Now, let's see, can I break this block here? I think I can. Okay, so this block here, which you can't see, but it has a, yeah, let's do that. It has a redstone torch on it. So basically what happens, oh, and that redstone torch, by the way, leads into this block. So what happens is, when there are any items in this hopper right here, that'll send its signal all the way around to there, turning off that torch, which allows this torch to turn on. And that sets this side of the clock. When there are no items in there, that turns off Yeah, which turns this torch on, which turns this torch off, which means it sets this side of the clock, because once this torch is off, this comparator can turn on again, and it turns this side of the clock back on. So I hope that made sense. One thing to note, this block is very important. If you don't have this block here, then this redstone dust will connect to this redstone line, which creates a loop from this repeater, and it'll just power itself and stay on all the time, and your clock will not work. So, very important block right there. And yeah, so completely silent, completely configurable hopper clock that takes the design of Etho's hopper clock, but makes it silent. And yes, it is a little bigger than Etho's clock, so it all comes down to what you want. Do you want silence, or do you want compactness? And again, that's up to you to decide, but for this, it's silent because I like silence. So, let's fill this up. I think that's about it. So until next time, until next time, keep clocking. Keep clocking? Keep timing, and keep redstoning.